I have a bag of Jessie James beads all ready to go, but I have no head pins. Let's find out together how to create one of your own. I'm working today with round wire in 18 gauge. This is raw copper because it's just beautiful to work with and it's one of my favourites. It also shows up reasonably well on my background. So what I want to do is to create a dropper exactly as we did with the head pins, but I don't have any. So we're going to create a spiral head pin or a spiral dropper to use for our own purposes. So here's one that I created earlier on with a wrapped loop up at the top. That's quite an exotic one with graduating beads. I'm just going to show you with one or two from a selection that I pulled out at random. So I have a piece of wire here, it's 18 gauge, round wire, and this is probably about 3.5 inches in length. The first thing that I'm going to do is to make sure that my ends are not wonky in any way and they're quite usable. I'm going to run that between thumb and forefinger to make sure that it's straight and warm. I'm then going to switch over to my round nose pliers. And I'm going to start very close to the tip of my round nose pliers right at the end of that wire, and we're going to make ourselves a basic coil. So you can see that I do this in a number of small movements. I'm gripping the end of the wire and rotating my pliers around. Now you may find it easier to move your non-dominant hand or your dominant hand, or indeed a combination of the two. Either way, we're going to end up with a small circular form to begin with, before switching out to any flat-facing pliers. As ever, I'm using my sparkly bent chain nose pliers. I'm going to make sure that that's nice and flat, always in 2 dimensions. I'm just going to grip the beginning of my spiral and start rotating that around. Now the key to having beautiful and repeatable spirals that are as circular as you wish them to be is to go slowly. So you can see that I have begun here by rotating once and then twice around to get 2 lines of wire. Once I have my 2 lines of wire, I'm going to switch my grip, pop my bent chain nose pliers underneath, and I'm just going to push that disc of wire to one side. And again, just going to add a little bit of warmth up and away on the excess at the top here, before choosing which of my beads I'm going to add in. I think I'm going to put this glorious disco ball in almost an AB coated pink crystal. So I have all of the beads that I wish to work with, and I'm going to finish that in exactly the same way as I did the wrapped loop in an earlier tutorial. I'm going to pop my bent chain nose pliers underneath. The disc is flat to my face. Push the top wire over to the side at 90 degrees before repeating the instructions to create that wrapped loop. If you missed that tutorial, here we're going now. Just moving those pliers around gently to get that first half of the circular form. Pop those pliers back into position and bring the tail over the top. I'm just going to sit that a little bit more centrally before switching back to my flat facing pliers, squishing that ever so gently to make sure that it's nice and flat before taking the tail of the wire all the way around. Now, because we pre-warmed our wire earlier on, it's quite flexible and lovely. I'm just going to give that a very gentle nudge to get those coils to sit flat before flipping over to the back of the design and trimming away the excess. Again, I'm using the flush side of my cutters on the side of the wire that I wish to keep, and the concave side is the section that we're going to dispose of. So look where you're cutting twice and then cut once. Dispose carefully of your offcuts because they can be sharp. I'm going to again switch my grip, and you can see the end of the wire is coming over the top, and I'm just going to very, very gently squish that down before rotating those pliers around in the same direction as the wire is travelling before it was cut. In doing so, I'm making the end as smooth as possible and getting that to sit down flat. So if I pop this down on the board, it'll probably wobble around because it's round. Then you can see that we've created ourselves a drop charm utilising just wire, not a head pin in sight.